Your Podcast. My name is Vera, and I am joined, as always, by my two smelly, itchy, disgusting, just, oh my god, grosso co-hosts, Katie.
Kind of true. Hi.
And Livy.
Hi. Vera, you don't look so good yourself. You feeling all right there? you scratched it a little bit.
Oh no. Oh no. Wow. Today we are talking about 404 in sickness and in hell. And that's certainly how I think we felt watching it.
I've kind of been dreading a little bit talking about this episode because we have two good friends who love this episode a lot and like to torment us on Twitter about it, and particularly me about my feelings for it, which is just pure disgust.
But that's the correct thing to feel about it.
I mean, I realize that's the goal.
Is it? I thought it was supposed to be just like funny. This
funny
is a funny
gross.
episode, but like in a
Some
funny.
people find the feeling of being disgusted like fun.
Okay.
Like humorous in and of itself. I think that's part of what gross out comedy does, is you go, oh, that's so nasty, and then you laugh.
A certain part of this episode I found funny.
There are funny moments for sure.
For sure.
Certainly funny moments, yeah. But
I even find some of the poop stuff funny.
well, see, that's the thing. The poop stuff is funny.
It's
I
not
think
funny.
the other stuff is not funny. Katie has a real big problem with poop
I
stuff.
can't do a lot of gross out humor involving poop jokes. Like the lowest common denominator humor of fart jokes and poop jokes and gross things is not my style whatsoever.
How do you feel about rash jokes?
I hate them.
What about lice jokes?
I don't like it.
See, now that's a new one, right? Because what other sort of like comedy involves really disgusting rashes and like lice?
Surely something.
I'm sure it's there.
Oh my
Certainly
God.
a lot of growing up involves really disgusting rashes and lice.
I'm pretty sure that's not a popular form of comedy.
It's funny too because I can do like really gross movies, like horror genre style movies or body horror. I don't have like too much of a problem with, depending on how
That's
far
true.
it goes.
You have
But
a higher threshold
something
than I do.
about this kind of comedy is not. I just have to look away.
So yeah, basically Katie hasn't seen this episode.
I have seen it 3 times.
Yeah, that's like 3 too many, huh?
We're sorry, friends of ours who love this.
Yeah.
We're
I
just
know.
going to keep apologizing to you throughout the run of this podcast.
Though we have good things to say, I think.
The trees are pretty,
Yeah, well, then she scratches on them.
which
Then
is some
they're
of the
less-
best stuff.
less pretty.
Can
The
we all
performances,
agree?
yes.
Yeah,
Is
that
that what you're gonna
Renee just slinking through this episode trying to find surfaces to rub
Yes.
herself against is
Yes.
pretty amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
no one is saying that the comedy gold performances are not wonderful.
Right, yeah. Shall we talk about this
Yeah,
episode?
let's break it down. Let's just get it out.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, let's
Just
get into
vomit
it.
out the analysis.
Oh, boy.
So this one is written by our wonderful duo, Adam Armas and Nora K. Farts. I can say it now for real.
Finally,
It really
finally.
makes sense
For
here.
real, it makes sense this time.
Nora K. Foster.
And they have previously written...
Fins,
All the
femmes,
freaking
and gems.
shenanigans ones. It's our duo, and our director is Josh Becker.
Also previously seen in Fins, Femmes, and Gems.
Whenever you need a shenanigans app, you get these peeps in here.
and a Joxer app.
Yes.
Becker and Raimi are a duo.
Right. This episode opens with this like wonderful tranquil scene. It's like a morning.
Yeah, we get some stock footage
Yeah.
of like idyllic nature shots.
Yeah, it's like Bambi.
Yeah, Bambi's up in there for some
Bambi
reason.
pre-murder.
It's just, this idyllic scene, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's Xena sleeping.
She looks pretty.
Yeah, it's good.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Oh, God.
Well, then there's a seductive voice from off screen just being like, Xena. Like,
Wake up.
and Xena is, super content and
Yeah.
being just like,
It's very
what
cozy,
what
yeah.
is it? Super happy.
Foot rot.
Foot rot!
And it's a close-up of a nasty foot.
Just
Really-
up in her face.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Gabrielle.
Yeah, she's like on the show again, and we're so happy to have her and her
Yes.
feet.
Oh, my goodness.
It is something perhaps that I mean, I don't like that this is the immediate episode after a family affair. It's certainly like a choice, but I do like what it says about how they have kind of just fallen back into a pat. Like, they're just fine.
I think there's something to be said about that. And the way that, you know, when you're like separated from your friend for a really long time, you're like, they're perfect. They're like this beautiful golden being. And then like a week later after your reunion, you're like, oh my God, her foot is rotting. She's so annoying. She won't stop talking about my lice.
I like that this is a very specific bit of continuity that's happening, because we had our first 2 episodes where she was dead and Xena was searching for her, and it was really dramatic, and then you had the family affair and we get her back. Also very dramatic, scary, good episode.
Great episode.
So now our producers are like, let's do our patented Stooges comedy here, the episode. The audience needs this, guys. And then our characters... Well, Xena certainly is like, hey, I searched for you, and now we're going to go find Argo. And this entire episode is about the reunion.
Search for Argo.
Yeah, with Argo.
An excellent bit of continuity.
Yeah, this is, I saw it pointed out on Whoosh, one of the only comedies that is technically serialized.
Nice.
It is part of the ongoing plot, and it's kind of tying up some loose ends from last season.
Cool.
So maybe it's not all bad here in Sickness and in Hell.
So that's 1 point for it.
Yeah,
and then we're going to take 1 million points off.
Sophisticated things. We'll call them out as we go.
Sure. So Gabrielle has a foot rot problem because they've been going through all these swamps. She basically has trench foot.
You know, do you think part of her problem here is that she doesn't have great boots to keep the wet out?
Like the new ones that she got.
Yeah, those new boots that she got.
They're not new anymore.
They were pleather.
Yeah.
They weren't leather.
Well, they're not new any longer.
They probably got burned off,
She went
in the lava pit.
I mean, yeah.
The hospice provided her with some new boots.
And they were made out of paper.
Yeah, they were not up to the task, so.
Yeah, but she has also not been drying them, like Xena said, which is kind of a problem that's literally how you need to cure your foot rot. But Xena has her own issues, and that is her bedroll is just covered in lice, because wherever they are is beautiful pasture.
Yeah, where the fuck
is just
are
full
they?
of lice.
Full of lice. You can actually see like all these bugs in the air, which is a nice. They picked a location full of bugs.
Yeah, bug infestations. I mean, that's not great. But she like shakes out her bedroll, and they're just like fly out. Yes, our lice, of course, talk.
They talk just like the sea creatures.
Yeah,
they have the same voices.
Yeah,
actually. But these actually speak English, and you can see in the closed captions what they're saying, which is often deeply stupid.
I liked the first one, which goes, the lice goes, pretty lady. Which is true. I am that lice.
I like that Xena is in denial about the lice.
For a long time.
Gabs just embraces the foot rot. She's like, yeah, my whole body's like rotting off. She's like pulling bits of her skin off.
Oh my God.
The big piece.
For comedy. Like, she thinks this is funny. That she's literally melting before our eyes. But Xena,
does she think it's funny? I think they think that this is funny for the audience. But I literally counted how many times she pulls her own skin off in this episode.
How many?
Well, I have to tally it.
Oh,
but right now we've had two times. She
already
pulled 2 pieces of skin
in this
off.
first scene.
Yeah.
The opening, yeah. It's nasty.
It's so gross.
I mean, the makeup is good to me in the
Because
sense that
it's
it looks
disgusting.
like her skin is rotting up legit. And the sound design is not what it would sound like if you were scratching your skin. It sounds like this just horrible, like, scritchy noise that it's just, I hate it. Because it doesn't, you wouldn't hear that loudly
No,
if you were
true.
sitting next to Gabrielle. Like, you wouldn't. But, like, there's something about whatever
She's got,
they
like,
did.
sandpaper.
Yeah, it's like a
against,
sandpaper scratch. Like,
yeah.
it's awful.
It's so gross. It's
Thanks,
always like
Foley.
whenever she takes off the little piece, it's always like this thin little piece. Actually, you know what? I'm just thinking about this. This reminds me of Austin Powers' Goldmember.
Oh my God.
Goldmember loved to pull off his own skin and eat it.
I'd forgotten he did that.
That was nasty.
Oh, I know
thing.
we've already had the what year was Goldmember
Yeah.
conversation on the podcast, but now I forgot what year. I think it's still to come, so Zena still did it first.
Oh boy. So the other thing that happens because they're so miserable in this episode, you get a little bit of that whole, like, that same spark that you got in Day in the Life, right? Because they're bickering in this, like, domestic way. Mm-hmm. So that's cute.
It's very cute, but it's a bit of a parody of that parody, which was Day in the Life, in that the bickering here is cute, but it's also, like, they're both in such discomfort that it feels, like, straight up mean-spirited a lot of the time. You know, because Gabrielle's skin is falling off.
She's like, you want a piece of me? Like, literally pulls it off.
I wanted to send her to the hospital.
Yeah, and I think it's really weird that Xena does not try to, like, cure it at all.
Yeah, even though she has her field medicine, and you would assume that, like, trench foot is a thing she's had to deal with a lot. Well, at the beginning, she's like, you didn't keep it dry, so I can't help you anymore. Mm-hmm. You're just going to be covered with this forever. Until I decide to eventually, like, do some shopping and cure you. What did you guys think of the running gag that Xena's in denial about the lice? I really liked that Xena just, like, will not admit it. Will not admit that she has a problem.
I don't know how I feel about it. Because this episode ticks so many of my, like, I hate this boxes, which is stooge humor.
That's true. That's the number one you hate.
And Xena with terrible hair. That's like the ultimate.
And it's just like
worse.
Immediately bad. It's funny.
It's like, there's like a level of like badness.
It goes from bad to worse.
Of course, yeah. So right now we're at like maybe like a 5, but it's definitely climbing, and it's climbing fast. So I don't know. There's so much of her hair stuff, which is like, I just don't like it. I mean, I like that she has her own problems here.
She really does.
Yeah. When you think about it, she's very practical and good at field medicine and stuff, and it is such a distraction that you'd think she would just, like, make up some plant shampoo that will get rid of it that she knows and just immediately cure this problem instead of denying its existence.
And also, like, the life that she's led, you would think she already had lice one time and, like, could deal with it.
But it's funny when
it's just funny.
Ignoring it.
She's in denial that Argo is upset with her. She's in denial about the lice. I feel like Xena's in denial about a lot of things this episode. I'm not sure exactly why, but I liked it. I liked it for the character. I like that you have this difference in Gabrielle kind of embracing the physical malady, whereas Xena's like, it's just not happening.
Well, it's a lot.
Don't look at me. It's not happening.
It's a lot easier for her to ignore that than for Gabrielle to ignore her falling off bits.
Her abs are just like green. They're like necrotic.
The one around her, oh my god,
ab
the
stuff.
one around her belly button.
All right. Keep it together.
How many times did I write gross in my notes? Also to be determined.
Just all my notes.
Yeah, count them both for us.
So Xena spots Argo, and there's a lot of, like, just glorious shots of Argo in this episode. That is one positive.
Yeah, it's like all the, footage in Black Beauty.
Yeah.
She's like, look at me, I'm free.
Yeah. She's, like, naked, running around, and Xena does her whistle, but Argo ignores it.
Argo is pissed.
Well, we don't know what it is yet.
That's true.
It's just strange. Weird that Argo does not go for the whistle.
At first, I almost was like, maybe this isn't Argo. That was my first thought. I was like, this is just weird. Argo would never.
Yeah. But then Gabrielle makes a joke that maybe Argo heard them talking about the lice.
Stay away.
Argo's the smartest character in this episode for sure. She keeps her distance.
We have Joxer's entrance in this ridiculous gag where he thinks he's blind because his helmet is flipped backwards on his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there you immediately think, oh, so Joxer has this physical malady too, blindness. But of course, it's just a gag. And he actually is the one character that for most of this episode is unaffected.
Yeah.
Which is a weird reversal of comedy power dynamics. Usually he's the worst off.
Right, because he's already, that's just his life, So of course in this episode he had to remain the straight man. He needs Xena and Gabrielle's help because he got himself into this situation where Joxer the Mighty, air quotes, was hired by this village to protect them from this, like, horde of Scythians who are going to attack the village. And he can't do shit, so he needs Xena and Gabrielle to help.
Well, it's funny. He's like, I have it all under control. And Xena's like, when do you need us to start? And he was like, now would be good.
Is this the part where he has that gag where it's this sort of, he, like, starts calling them, like, girls? or something, and then has to like do that thing where he ends up calling them Joxers, mighty fighting women fighters fighting or something. Yeah.
Yep. That is here also.
Great. Well, also, here's the thing about this episode that is my next note. Gabrielle's hair is perfect.
Yeah.
At least someone's is.
Oh.
It's so good. It's really cute.
Yeah.
The 2 side braids, very nice.
It's just so perfect.
It's a good point that I have about this episode.
The trees were pretty, as I said.
Yeah. Yeah. Xena's hair is just like so bad. So much.
Do you think this is like her actual hair, or did they put like a teased wig on her?
Oh my god.
I
At
thought
one
it could
point,
be.
she definitely wears 11-year-old Hope's crazy wig, but like dyed to her color. It's so bad. So her foot rot is no longer foot rot. It's just like spreading all over her body.
It's green. It's red. It's on the move.
And Xena's like, okay, maybe if we get breakfast, it'll take your mind off of it. So she's like, well, there's a bunny over there. Like, let me chakram it. And Gabriel's like, no, I got it. I got this. So what does she do, guys?
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this is the most confounding sequence in the episode.
We all know the reference. I just don't understand.
What's the reference?
It is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And I don't understand why the rabbit eats the hallucinogenic berries, but then the rabbit grows weird teeth. Like, Gabrielle, you'd think, would have eaten the berries
She
and like
must have eaten them
hallucinated.
too. We
didn't see it. We definitely had. She tried to eat these berries, and Xena knocked them out of her hand.
But she
being
probably
like,
already eaten some before that happened.
Okay.
That's my retcon.
Because otherwise it doesn't make...
It doesn't make any
The berries
sense.
don't make the rabbit hallucinate its own teeth.
Pointy
but
teeth.
From
and then
Gabrielle's point of view.
attack Gabrielle with them.
Like, she would have to hallucinate this by eating the berries.
Yes.
I don't... Okay, so let's pretend she ate
She
some.
totally had to have eaten them, but it's one of the stranger things in this episode that it never explains this. I actually, the first time I saw this episode, assumed that both Xena and Gabrielle had somehow eaten the berries before the episode even began.
And the whole thing
And
didn't
the whole
happen.
thing was them tripping, because that was the only way I could understand it. It's a lot like my ridiculous theory about them being an illusion.
Or are they still in illusion?
They
Just
might
checking.
still be in
Just
illusion.
checking.
The whole show
it's
remained in illusion.
The fact that certainly Xena herself feels to me so far away from her usual character, the fact that she just gets so upset about Argo so quickly, and there's like a lot of weird Xena stuff here where I'm just kind of like, what? Like, she's not under a spell. Like, why is she behaving this way?
They perhaps sacrificed some logic for comedy.
Perhaps.
Her lice aren't lice. They're dandruff, a minor scalp irritation.
Anyway, it's really funny. I love Renee in this scene throwing herself all over the place.
God.
Into
It's
the
very
trees,
physical
punching
comedy.
the bunny.
Very,
and also, it's
very
a good
good.
reference. I do love
who
Monty
doesn't
Python and
love?
the Holy Grail.
She needed that holy hand grenade to get rid of
Yes.
the bunny. No one told her. Yeah, I love the punching sounds, which are like these big, like action movie punch noises, and then the sound effects for the bunny are like barking dogs for some reason, which is a little mystifying, but okay.
So while this is happening, this is all intercut with Xena and Joxer, and Joxer's like explaining some more about these marauders, the Scythians. They're so bad.
They have skulls on their hats, so
That's
that's
how
definitely
you know.
bad.
Super bad. And scythes.
Yeah.
Which was funny. The leader has like a scythe shape on his helmet, which I was like, well, you're the Scythians. So
Oh, very literal.
Scything away.
And they have these crazy knives, and Joxer has one of their knives, and there's this really cool transition where Xena grabs the knife and like throws it down, and you cut to the Scythian camp. They play this game where they like throw the knife into the sand.
It was a match cut. Your favorite, Vera.
I know, I love it. Xena says they're pure evil. Do we believe her?
Well, I didn't when she said that, but then you see their leader who's like, with this horse, evil will rule the world.
Oh my God, I keep saying that.
And wherever they are, there's a thunderstorm, but nowhere else.
That's right.
That was so great. Yeah, these
they're
guys
evil.
are
They're
evil.
super evil.
There's a thunderstorm behind them, and then they spot, like, the leader, head goon is what I call him. He spots Argo, and she's, like, majestic.
Yeah,
in
because
this, like,
wherever
sunlight.
Argo goes, there's
Yeah.
like golden light and nature
Yeah.
is beautiful.
And it's funny because, like, I was like, oh, that's a shot that's, like, straight up, like, what you see when you see a unicorn. And then later he puts a unicorn
He
on
turns
her.
Argo into an evil unicorn. It's such a huge trespass. I was like, how dare you do that to A, Argo, and B, unicorns?
So yeah, Hedgoon wants to capture Argo. I guess they're like the Dothraki. They're like horse riders.
Yeah.
So.
Which I think, I did not do research for this episode, but I think...
How dare you admit that?
I think the Scythians were riders.
Okay. So maybe are
famed riders.
Maybe Dothraki are based off of them too, as well as like Mingoli.
Maybe.
Well, Gabrielle fails to get the bunny because the bunny like bites her and just definitely attacks her a lot.
And we keep cutting back to that, which I thought was a funny use of editing, that you go back and forth from Xena and Joxer and maybe even this Scythian encampment.
This was good.
Yeah,
I like
checking in with Gabs, who's just like, ah!
And Xena's picking out lice. And the lice goes, "Hey, don't scratch me."
No.
Yeah, he does.
Joxer tells Xena that he thought that she was just staying dirty on purpose to be tough.
Oh my god, that was so great. She was like, "Hey, do you notice anything about my hair?" He's like, "Yeah, looks good." It's like a full like 15 now of crazy, just FYI.
Yeah, no, we have this kind of bird's eye view shot of it where you see that there's like, I don't even know, like seeds in it? Or the eggs. I guess it's the eggs.
No, I think those are the lice.
Those are the lice.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was bad. It was a really, like, keep it together, don't barf. You have to write notes for this episode.
Ooh, yeah, but it was really, really funny that he thought she just was, like, being smelled. She also smells at this point. And
apparently they smell throughout. Even after taking baths, there's still complaints about how they smell.
Well, I could see how Gabrielle would because of her rot, but...
She took a bath in
goat shit. They both did, yeah. So, yeah, not the greatest bath.
So because Gabrielle failed to capture the bunny, Joxer is forced to make them breakfast, his famous radish stew.
Which is just radish and water.
I guess so.
Sound appetizing.
How does this create poisoning?
I think he just literally has this virus all over his hands.
Oh my god.
And he's obviously very unsanitary in the way in which he prepares food.
I hate everything.
Yeah,
no.
That's the answer, guys.
Oh,
Sorry.
No. Oh god. And so Joxer offers to go find Argo, and I like that he misgenders Argo.
A lot. Several. I felt judged because this is a problem I have. So great. I'm glad I share a problem with Joxer. Yay. I did love Xena's response when Joxer offers to go look for Argo.
Oh yeah.
It's like I've never heard her be more sarcastic, and somehow the wild hair really just adds to the like so done with your shit quality. She's just like, yeah, that'd take a real load off.
Yeah,
so just like, ugh. And he's hopeful for a second when she says, yeah. He's like, oh.
There's some good sound design where you hear him yelling for Argo for a really long time in the background.
Yeah, and so Xena is kind of blocked so that she's standing in front of the camera, and she's like really trying to figure out what's going on with Argo. You know, she's like, why? Like, what's happening here? Maybe Argo's mad because she saw me ride off on another horse, on poor unfortunate horse.
If only Xena could just sit Argo down and explain, I killed that horse, baby.
Babe, I did it for you. And meanwhile, in the background, what is Gabrielle up to, guys?
She has taken Xena's chakram and has wedged it into some rocks and is scratching her gross back with it. And I don't understand how it's not slicing her back to pieces. It's disgusting. Poor Xena's chakram.
So
the real victim of the episode.
Oh my god.
So many of the surfaces
also, it's
that
really
get
funny.
Scratched on are the victims.
It's pretty funny. And she's making some hilarious wounds.
I mean, yeah, this is quite a subtexty moment because she's really doing, I don't even know, like gyrating in the background.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good, but it's also gross because it's about her back rotting off.
And then Xena sees this and is like,
are you using my chakra?
She's as mad as she should be.
Yeah. And then they have this really cute scene where they like threaten to give each other their maladies.
They call each other Gabrielle and eczema.
Yeah. And Xena tries to like threatens her with the pinch. And it reminded me of like that pinch fight she had with Centaries, right?
Oh my gosh. It's true. This was very kung fu her stance. Like, it's very exaggerated.
It's so exaggerated. Yeah.
And then Gabrielle's like, you can't touch me because of her gross brows.
Yes,
and then calls her warrior princess, which was hilarious and
That's
adorable.
true. We don't hear that so often. I can't believe Xena did touch her, though. I was like, ew, no, just leave it.
See, they're close. She doesn't care.
Yeah. She doesn't care. We're about to see that.
Joxer comes back. He has not found Argo, but he finds that Gabrielle is there, and she's got her hands tied under this, like, little bag.
Xena should have done that ages ago.
Yeah.
Like, to spare her from peeling off all her skin. Which
Absolutely,
has already happened now.
This was a scene in Grey's Anatomy when Callie couldn't scratch for whatever reason, and they put gauze on her hands, and she called them gauze paws.
Aw, the gauze paws.
Yeah.
That's pretty cute.
But Xena did it first.
So, Joxer is about to untie Gabrielle, but then she calls him, or almost calls him, an idiot, because she's annoyed at how little he understands about their plan. So this leads into a scene that Chris Mannheim, I'm sure, was very excited about.
We're so mean.
Where Joxer is trying to get Gabrielle to admit that she has feelings for him.
Oh my goodness.
She says, I value you, I think. Which is pretty sad. And then he's like, come on, out with it. And she outs with it.
No.
All over his shoes.
Oh, God.
Because he has poisoned her with that radish stew.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Gross. I hate puke jokes.
Yeah.
I
She's
hate
so
the,
funny, though.
the Foley with the stomach effects, which is just, there's like way too much liquid in that noise. I just don't, I hear it and I'm just like, no show, don't put me through this.
Are you going to put a coin into the problematic jar because that scene sort of involved Joxer making Gabrielle say something to him in order for him
to free her?
Free her.
I'll put a coin in, sure.
Good.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you. So the girls are following Joxer through the woods, and this is really bad. There's like some burping happening, some gurgling is starting to happen.
Everybody's stomach is terrible.
Gabrielle pulls off more skin.
But pauses to, get up close and personal with a tree. It's always funny. Every time she stops and spots a surface, I'm just like, yes. I mean, you can make a really great drinking game out of this episode because you have all of these jokes repeat over and over and over again.
But then you're going to drink so much that then you're going to puke.
Oh, well, that's how it should be.
And then Xena's like super frustrated, so she has this really great line where she's just like, I don't ask for much. I just want my pony back. Which is very cute.
It's cute, but again, I'm just like, what's wrong with Xena?
She's entered into the rules of this episode. I don't know.
She's in Illusia still. No, this is for sure Illusia, because Gabrielle's pooping in the bushes, and she's using her own scroll as toilet paper.
It was such a big betrayal of me personally. I was like, Gabrielle, I've been going to bat for you for 2 seasons over this scrolls as TP thing. It was such a big thing for you, and now you're doing it yourself.
Did we decide they were unwritten on?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something she hated.
Yeah.
It was her way of just deleting it.
I like this. I'm gonna embrace this retcon. It was a bad scroll.
But I like that Joxer's holding it like a toilet paper roll, basically. She's grabbing it.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
like,
bush.
oh, some of it's funny.
Yeah, there's a really great line where Xena's like, where did Gabrielle go? And Joxer's like, nature called. And from the bush, she screams, nature didn't just call. She screamed like a wild banshee.
I wasn't so big on Joxer's line, though, about how you're feeling puffy, irritable, and bloated today.
No.
Yeah, in an episode that's full of, like, female body grossness, like, I didn't need it to actually be gendered in that moment. Like, I like that it isn't gendered. It's just, like, women have all the same gross maladies that men do on the road.
Yeah, well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Let me put a coin in for the menstruation joke.
Yeah, nasty. Boo, Joxer. These are our 2 leads being disgusting.
Yeah.
It's great, as much as the humor is not for me. this is great. Because, you know, even as recently as the last few years, people are like, oh, like when Bridesmaids came out, people were like, oh, look, women can do this. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's just kind of a thing that, like, you don't normally see.
Right. You don't see women sweat.
Or smell bad.
Smell bad, yeah.
Or poop.
They don't poop.
They definitely don't poop.
Yeah. So this one has it all.
I mean... Did Xena do it first? Maybe.
No,
not really.
We don't really know the history of, like, scatological female humor. You know there's a paper about that somewhere. I'd be curious to read it, but I'd have not eaten for a long time.
It's so rare, though, that it's actually hard to just kind of, like, you know... Google, like, women in comedy. Like, you know, I hate that, you know, in the last 5 years you still get these... things that are like, can women even be funny? Like, you know, like that stupid shit. But when you try to actually get down to, as you say, this kind of gross out humor that is more, you know, recent, I feel like when you think of gross out humor, you kind of think of movies from like the 80s, 90s kind of thing. When I try to kind of see like a list, if there was like a list of stuff like this that like featured women, I think a lot of it like confused stuff with, or like would disclaim it by being like, well, this is actually physical comedy and not really like being gross. You know what I mean? So like there's a difference between like just like being allowed to be...
Lucille Ball, there's a lot of physical comedy.
That's physical comedy.
Yeah. But, you know, Lucy and Ricky don't even share a bed. So of course Lucy doesn't poop.
So yeah, so it's kind of hard, like even hard to look at all this stuff, you know. I was like, we were just talking before recording, and I was trying to think of stuff from like, you know, SNL in the 70s and 80s, and like the like female comics on there. They must have been doing some gross stuff from time to time, and then you kind of get into the 90s, and what would we have, like Cameron Diaz?
This is I think they were quite directly influenced by There's Something About Mary, which came out this summer that they would have been writing this.
Oh, yeah?
I think.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the same year.
Summer 98
So you think
Mary
that
came out.
the movie was seen before this was conceived?
I believe... I saw references on Whoosh to it being a reference. It would have had to have been pretty close. Like, literally, Armas and Foster would have had to, like, go to the movie theater, see this, and
so that's like a fan comment.
Yeah. I mean, like, it wasn't sourced.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we can...
But even there, it's like she's kind of like the joke, not like doing the joke.
No,
it's been so long since I've seen it.
Really long
she's like
time.
one of the biggest, like, kind of comedians I think I could think of.
But that was often the...
Or comedic actors.
Yeah.
That was often the criticism of the Farrelly comedies, is that women in them weren't really allowed to be, like, active.
Right.
Like, parts of the humor. They were kind of the objects. Like,
anyway,
you know, she has jizz in her hair and she doesn't know about it, you know? That's the joke. Like, whereas, you know, Gabrielle and Xena are very much like, you know, it's their poop. It's their rashy
Vera,
bodies.
what's your favorite Cameron Diaz?
The sweetest thing.
Okay.
There's a lot of physical comedy in that one. But again, like, I don't, it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember it being specifically bathroom humor. I mean, Bridesmaids really was like the biggest bathroom humor situation.
Yeah, and that was just like such a shock to people. Like, oh my god, look at these women doing this diarrhea joke.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, Xena semi did it first, I guess.
I love that Bridesmaids sequence because it's so much about, like, you know, they're wearing, like, their beautiful dresses, you know, so you have this, like, this is such a part of kind of being female, is you have to put on this show with dresses for your ridiculous wedding, and then, like, ruining that with poop. It was I thought, a really great play on gender.
It's still gross.
It was very gross.
I like, back to the episode, I mean, do you love that there's, like, a good boob shove in here?
Oh, yeah, really, kind of, it looked like it might have hurt. Usually the boob shoves look kind of sweet and playful. This one I was like, ow!
Gabs is very, very uncomfortable and mad. And then Xena needs to go into that same bush.
Yeah, and just throws Gabs out of it. Not very nice.
What they like speed up some of it.
Yeah.
Because,
which stooges. They're definitely doing a stooge runs throughout this episode. And literal runs.
Oh no.
Figurative runs.
I mean, they at least weren't gross.
That's true.
I mean, in this capacity, as far as I recall, they're just dumb violent.
So Gabs is like, next time, find your own bush. And Joxer says, girls, please, there's bushes enough for everybody.
Great.
SMH. Yeah, so I mean, this is also the scene where, you know, Joxer was like, well, maybe Argo just went off with someone else. And Xena's like, well, she would never. And Gabrielle in her misery is like, oh, please, of course she would. Somebody, like, gives her an apple and she'll follow them. Which is an important little setup.
I couldn't help but think about all of our conversations about the rift and the pedestals. Mm-hmm. I know, this is overthinking it.
I mean, they're off them now, right?
They're off them now, for sure. This is, like, the most off either of them has ever been. But Xena still has Argo on one. Like, Argo would never do that to me. Argo isn't just a horse. She's my mythic companion who I found and who understands my soul.
I think their pedestal was more of a moral pedestal for Xena and Gabrielle. Yeah. I think that they probably saw enough of their, like, just daily shenanigans to, like, not have that be part of it.
But yeah, like, I love that Gabrielle's like, no, Argo's a horse. Like, Argo is gonna, like, do horse stuff, Xena. God.
So then we have a scene of Argo being broken, basically, by the goons.
And at first it looks really sinister.
Yeah.
She's, like, skinning an apple.
Right. Head goon is threatening Argo, basically, by saying that, well, if she can't be broken, then I'm gonna have to kill her.
Dun, dun, dun. But
so bad.
Soon we're going to find out the truth of how this breaking happened.
Our heroes have reached the village that they need to protect, and they enter this tavern. Well, Joxer enters the tavern. He's like, aha, I have returned, villagers.
Breaks a table.
Oh, God,
because you
because
need some of that. I mean, he's on his best behavior this episode because the other two have to be the ones who are truly ridiculous. So he's kind of the straight man, but of course he makes a very bad straight man.
He starts singing the Joxer the Mighty song, and the tavern people is this now the fandom at this point?
Oh,
being
for
like,
sure.
Oh, enough with the song.
They're like, the meter is awful. Kill him. That was a great line. This is extra funny because it was Josh Becker and Ted Raimi together who came up with that song originally.
Okay, so it wasn't so much the fandom, it was them themselves.
It's a little wink back, at themselves.
How much they hate it.
Yeah.
Take a hint, fandom stuff, asking for me to sing this.
I guess they really do think the meter is awful. So yeah, Joxer kind of becomes like the, that thing in boxing. He's like announcing the hype man.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like the hype man for Xena and Gabs. He introduces them. You have like the big hero shot. You wait for them to come through the door. And they do.
It's really funny. They sort of like fall into the tavern because they're just so in a bad place.
I love, my favorite thing about this moment was the soundtrack. It's the theme, but like through a like wah wah. So it's like wah 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 wah.
Xena's hair is like maybe like a 25 at this point.
Yeah, very large.
And they smell so bad. Everyone's reacting to the smell.
Yeah, everyone's running away even though they're like 30 feet away already.
The best part is this family that like covers the children's eyes. Like, don't look, children. Spare the children. And they basically make a beeline through all the people towards the outhouse because that's very important for them.
I like the scene. I like that they're undercutting the heroism of both Xena and Gabs, like, so outrageously. Like,
sure.
We've seen scenes like this so many times where Xena kind of,
walks into the tavern.
Strides in and says, all right, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And it was great to have her be like,
just beeline for the bathroom.
I these were moments where I was like, I get how this is kind of a side of the characters we haven't seen before, and I appreciate it. We're, 3 seasons into the show, this is the time to really be like, hey, don't take Xena seriously, even as a hero sometimes.
Aww. After they use the toilet, they're back into the tavern, and Joxer and the tavern owner, the innkeeper, are kind of taken in these two warriors.
Joxer's assuring them that, like, they can totally handle the Scythians. It's fine, even though Xena is just standing over this table, picking nits out of her head.
Killing them with a goblet.
And killing them with the goblet. And Gabs is, like, bent over backwards.
Yeah.
Like, this looked like a yoga pose. Yeah. It's kind of like... Yeah, foreshadowing some stuff later in this season.
She's draped over this table, like, scratching. I guess her back is the one that scratches the most.
They should really throw them out of the tavern, because people eat here.
It's so gross. Oh, my goodness. And then Gabrielle starts scratching with the goblet that Xena was using.
I love this, because Gabrielle's in the background at this point, scratching herself with the goblet. You have Xena in the foreground, kind of doing plot stuff, you know, giving the tavern owner a list of all the stuff they need. It turns out to just be like a list of herbs and spices.
Right, for their cures.
But this episode knows that the plot really doesn't matter. What matters is Gabrielle, who's out of focus, like tiny in the frame, just like scratching like crazy, like just like bending herself into all these insane positions and kind of like using the goblet as a loofah. It's just so funny. And then when they exit the scene, she just hands the goblet to a guy, and I was like, oh,
gross.
God.
So gross. Oh, it's just awful. Oh, my goodness. So when they exit the scene, because they're going to the town's mineral baths, Joxer turns to the innkeeper and he's like, you get used to the smell. Which is so extra. So they're in this bath, right? So it's nice. It's a mineral bath. Gabrielle is basically like, you know, she's got a full body mud mask
nice,
happening.
all over the place.
And Xena is she's got the nicks in her hair. She's like getting those lice out.
Yeah, combing them out, which
right.
is how you do it.
Exactly. Xena explains some more plot stuff, right? She says that this town is not, you know, it's like a poor town. Like, why would these Scythians want to attack it? It has these mineral baths.
And Greek fire.
And also Greek fire, yes.
And this is actually pretty clever, because it's setting up a later episode this season. Nice little bit of... wink, wink. This is going to be important. You don't know it yet. It's quite noticeable that the Greek fire, you know, doesn't do anything in this episode.
It blubbles.
No one uses it. It blubbles.
Yeah.
So, of course, this bath scene feels like it's in conversation with a lot of the other bath scenes that we've had in Xena, which are, you know, heavy on subtext. This one, in some ways, is less so. You know, they're not actually in the water together. They're at each other's throats throughout. But then you have the amazing reveal that Xena has the foot rot on her arm, and Gabs has a louse in her hair.
Uh-oh.
So they have somehow given each other, physical contact has happened, and the ailments have cross-pollinated.
Oh my goodness.
It's nice that it happened in the bath.
Yeah, and then you sort of figure out that the mud mask is really sheep dung?
Goat poo.
Well, Gabrielle was okay with sheep dung.
She was like, is it sheep dung? And it was like, I mean, was she making a joke? Like, was it like, did she not really think it was sheep dung? Was she fine with it being sheep dung? Because then when they said it was goat poo, she was like, oh, no.
I think she just has a preference to one animal over the other.
I mean, maybe it was a joke. She was like, is it sheep dung? Ha ha. Like, it wasn't. Anyway, how did she not smell that it was poop?
Covered in
like,
poop.
There's no way to be covered in poop and not know that it's poop.
If you already smell that bad.
I guess.
Then I
Jesus,
guess.
I hate this. I'm going to gag. That's my problem. I have a terrible gag reflex for stuff like this. So any poop jokes, any vomit jokes, I just, like, gag. Awful.
So yeah, they switch, and then Xena's covered in the poop mask, and Gabrielle got the nicks going.
And meanwhile, Joxer, who was in this scene, like, reporting about his doings, was threatened and ran away in, like, super fast forward, so.
And Xena goes, why I oughta.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, 2 Stooge references in a single scene, Vera. How do you feel about that?
I don't like it. I hate it. After the bath, the girls are in the room.
I just started laughing so much, but, like, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just feel like all the Stooges and the Monty Python, it's just like, you know who's making this show. Like, and exactly like their humor.
A 12-year-old boy.
Like,
Bobbert, Tabbert.
like, you know what I mean? Like, and it just totally takes me back to those stories of them, like, you know, going home from school and watching those things and stuff. It's just very specific. Anyway, continue.
And this is actually really funny that you bring that up, because here in this next scene we hear a lice, a louse, talking as Xena flicks a knit into the fireplace. This very romantic shot with a fireplace behind Xena and Gabs. And one of the lice shouts, "She killed Kenny, you bitch." So
wow.
There's a whole new generation of 12-year-old boys now, circa 1998, watching South Park. Mm-hmm. It's the Stooges, you know, of the modern era.
A lot more political than maybe the Stooges ever aspired to be.
And also, as somebody who currently watches South Park, it's gotten a lot more highbrow. So there you go. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the scene could be romantic, because I paused it to take a note or something, and you're like, oh my goodness, look at it, it's so beautiful. You can just like Photoshop the rot out of her foot and it would be a perfect scene. Because Xena's, after the bath, Xena's hair is back to like maybe like a 3 of crazy. Everybody should not maybe smell that much, although they did take a sheep dung.
They both have been rolling around in goat poo.
It was also just like regular bath, you know.
And it has to be said, this is such a cozy situation for them. We don't often see them cuddled up in like a actual house with beds in front of a fireplace. It's super domestic in a way we're not accustomed to.
So my question is that I could tolerate all this stuff, right? I could tolerate it for so long, and I get the joke for X amount of time.
What about eczema?
X amount of time. They took a bath that should have cured her rot. That was the purpose of it. She put the Nix in to get rid of the lice. Why are we back to square one again? Like, why do they even need that scene to begin with?
You're clearly speaking as someone who's never had lice.
I actually have. That's why I did the Nix joke. I know from experience. As it hasn't, like, everybody has been a, 8-year-old person in school, who has had lice.
Well, when I had lice, it took so many treatments to get rid of the little buggers. So I was totally fine with this. I was like, yeah, it's rough.
I have never had lice.
What? Get out of here!
Wow.
I had the knit, like the egg ones. I guess Olivia's the grossest here.
There was a kid in my school who had scabies. So
what the hell? Did you have foot rot?
Oh, move on, please.
This took a turn. All right, so never mind then, I guess. It seems so natural for them to continue this disgusting joke for the rest of the episode. We're only halfway in.
Here's where Xena did try to do some, like, helpful stuff for the foot rot.
Yeah, because that list of stuff that, you know, she asked for the innkeeper, the roots and whatever.
Root.
Yeah, so Gabrielle was supposed to put this on her rot.
She drank it instead.
She thought it was a tea. It's good. And
I was remarking again in that wide romantic shot. I was like, oh, look how cozy, how she's cradling her little mug.
Yeah, it was really cozy.
It looked so nice. But yeah, it's full of tongue number.
So yeah, that's the side effect of drinking the linseed root, is that you get numb tongue.
The numb tongue.
And then she can go away in a few days.
And Xena looks like really amused.
Very amused.
By this.
We should talk about the actual dialogue in the scene. They're discussing the fact that Argo has moods. Like, she opens up to Xena sometimes about her moods, but clearly not to Gabs, because apparently the Gabs-Argo feud is still a thing.
Yeah.
They're still not close. I thought they'd healed this shit, like, a season ago.
No, not really.
Forever a problem there.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of a friction.
A little bit of jealousy still, I think.
So Gabs is like, what is it she doesn't like about me? My personality? My hair color? The way I talk about her like she's a real person? Gabs, she is a real person. She's just a horse.
then Xena says not to trust the innkeeper.
Oh, I love this.
This was such a great reaction from Gabrielle. She's like, why? What does he have? Ringworm? Which is so realistic. At this point, she's so, like, extra hypochondriac.
Don't you guys ever, like, sit around thinking about, like, you know, getting in your time machine and going to the past and how amazing it would be? And
no,
like,
because it's disgusting.
Right.
I love
exactly
time travel
what
drama.
Happens. Yeah.
That's my shit. But you have to, number one, be like, don't ever do that. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So much poop.
In
so much plague.
So awful.
I don't want to be anywhere with plague.
It is awful. You don't do it. You just don't. The current time is usually always the best.
So I wonder if this...
Bring them to the future.
Do you guys think this episode, like, originated in the writer's room with them being like, wow, these ladies just do nothing but, like, sleep outside with their horse. They must be infested by 1,000 different insect lives.
Oh my
like,
God.
This is just, that's life when you're an ancient Greek woman.
Or somebody could have gone camping and, like, had some kind of issue and was like, my God.
I hope it wasn't based on an actual incident. So yeah, actually this guy doesn't have ringworm. He's just in with the Scythians, which Xena can tell because his house is too nice.
Is that the house that they're staying in right now?
It's too nice. It hasn't been touched.
Okay.
Too cozy. Don't trust the coziness.
Now it's nighttime, and Xena and Gabrielle are sleeping in their beds. I like that Gabrielle's, like, very, passed out, snoring. And Xena seems to be too tall, like, for her blanket, which was really cute. Her legs are sticking out.
Yeah, with their boots still on.
Yeah. And a goon is creeping in there, and he's gonna sword her in the face.
Uh-oh.
I'm worried.
And then he does!
And what is it? Is it a squash? I couldn't tell what the fuck that...
I thought it was a melon.
I mean, they've done the melon as Xena's head gag
That's
before.
A watermelon.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was literally
like a cantaloupe.
The same. Yeah. I mean, that's what I thought, but it could be a squash or whatever because they have their, like, little gag. But this was a consistent thing that they do. We've already seen it in episodes. Xena definitely does this all the time.
Sleeps under the bed just in case.
Yeah.
Well, I love the detail that, when she leaps out and attacks the guy, you see that she's barefoot, which is nice. Yeah, that's good.
Right, so she knocks this guy over and immediately puts the pinch on him. But,
This is my favorite part, I think.
I
do enjoy this stuff.
She got the poops. So.
It's so
not this part. Not the next part of me.
This is the most inconveniently timed poops ever.
This is really bad. Because, remember, it's only 30 seconds.
Yeah. There's no way.
There's no way.
There's just no way.
She would have murdered
this
this
man
guy.
Is dead.
Because of her poops. And she wakes Gabrielle up. She's like, Gabrielle, I did the thing. And mimes, the pinch. And
I did the thing. It's pretty good.
And runs off to do her business. Gabrielle is now tasked to interrogate this poor goon.
She's so grouchy and sleepy.
Yeah. So she, like, hangs over the bed, and this is a really, really, really funny scene.
Fuck.
Yeah. You get the point of view shot from the goon's perspective. Gabrielle upside down, sort of monstrously looming.
Mm-hmm. He's really getting drooled on.
He is getting so drooled on by her numb tongue. What does Gabrielle say?
Tell us what you know, but not like that.
Tell us what you know. You're not fucking wrong. 30 seconds for us.
And every time she talks, a giant amount of drool just, like, globs on his face.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's so funny.
And this guy is just, like, freaking out. This is, like, the most upsetting thing that's ever happened to him. This is, like, some kind of version of water torture, waterboarding.
Oh, goodness,
like,
yes.
it's rough. It's real bad.
So then the guy is put into the jail. It's a continuous shot of him kind of, like, sitting up after he gets unpinched to him being in the cell. And he's been just, like, super traumatized by Gabrielle.
This was, like, the worst thing that ever happened to this Scythian warrior.
Yeah, so Xena even threatens to send her in and give him a big sloppy kiss.
So good. Yeah, and how she kind of, like, lumbers in with
the drool hanging.
Yeah. Just, like, bubbles
great.
a bit.
It's great.
So, and this goon reveals that he's the brother of Head Goon, so he's Brother Goon, and they're planning to kind of split their army, and he's going to attack from the north, and the other one's going to attack from the south or whatever, and they're going to get this village.
He also threatens Xena. He's like, my brother would never leave me in here to rot. And Xena's like, don't tell us about rot.
And then an admittedly good cut to Gabrielle picking at her gross arm.
Yeah.
Rot.
It's a good cut. Good cut.
It's good. I will grudgingly admit.
It's the only time when you were happy to see that rot. I love her mumbling about Nargo.
Oh my god, Nargo! And then Xena later says knitted or whatever.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. I mean, again, it doesn't make sense when Xena really do this. But
well, she would because she's been calling her Nargo, so she just like it just came out that
into
way.
It.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Scythians do attack the village, and we do see Head Goon now riding Nargo. And she's decked out in this evil gear.
Which is upsetting.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting. It's upsetting to see her being used, in the circle of violence that Xena had escaped. Argo's back in it.
Oh, no.
It's sad.
Yeah, Xena does her whistle, and Argo does respond.
Yeah. You can tell she definitely hears it and knows it.
Yeah, but she doesn't, fully commit.
No. She rejects it.
Xena, Gabrielle, and Joxer fight about all these goons in the village, and you have the slow-mo shots of Xena fighting, and her hair is just so crazy, and it should not be in slow-mo right now. I was very upset.
That's true. The whole point of slow-mo
what a waste.
Is that, her hair needs to whoosh around her beautifully. Yeah. That's the whole point.
Oh my goodness. Because, it's after her bath, it's now back again to a 20 of crazy. Mm-hmm. The goons break out Brother Goon, and then they take off. The head goon, as he rides off, is like, Greek fire will be ours, and we will rule the world.
This guy's having a lot of fun. So now Xena is just, okay, this is the part that really just somehow offended me. Because Xena's just, blubbering about Argo. Oh.
And she's, scratching her head so much, and then these lice are just, flying out.
She's like, what we had was such a beautiful thing. I ruined it. But Gabs is very sweetly patting her arm, which is the first time we've seen something warm and sweet between them this episode.
She's also peeling off more skin.
I mean, she's always peeling off more skin. Just if we don't mention the skin, you guys, just know that in every scene, skin is coming off.
So bad. Xena realizes that Joxer is the secret weapon, and she's going to send him to neutralize the Scythian army.
It's a good idea.
It is a great idea. So then they can get Nargo back.
Meanwhile, Gabs is remarking, I don't know if my lice has fungus or my fungus has lice. Which is definitely the line of the episode.
Yeah. So then she's in the bushes, which is really, a callback to...
That's true. All the
the
many times we had Gabs as that audience figure.
She's picking her skin off, as you do. Xena kind of throws this dude in there, and it turns out that's the cook of the army. And now we find out that Joxer is going to be sent in to be the new cook. Gabrielle is tasked to keep an eye out because there's a special tent that Head Goon keeps just for his horse. And that is Argo.
Argo is living the high life. No wonder she doesn't want to go back with Xena. Xena doesn't even put her in a stable because she thinks Argo prefers to just run wild. And you remember that landscape in Adventures in the Sin Trade when Xena left her. It was very barren and sad looking. Yeah. So I don't think Argo appreciates the way that went down at all.
Gabrielle is tasked to whistle if there's trouble.
Now this is... I would go with you on the Xena being a little un-Xena-like. Yeah. This is so unsmart. She would totally know that Gabrielle can't whistle.
Yeah.
And then, they're going into battle. She's way smarter than this.
They should have all been killed here. This was just
This would be the series finale.
This was amateur hour.
So Xena goes into the tent, and there's this like nice reunion between her and Argo. I mean,
nice for her.
Nice for her.
Argo's wasn't like having any of it.
Yeah, she's like, "Bitch, get away from me."
I love the lighting on Argo, like this beautiful spotlight, just a horse spotlight. She's glowing like an angel.
She looked very, very gorgeous. And Xena tries to like take her out of the tent, but Argo just balks. She does not want to do it.
Not until you say you're sorry, Xena. She never does. So.
So meanwhile, Gabrielle, of course, spots goons heading right at that tent and tries to whistle. It does not work out for her. And then, honestly, my favorite part is that she gets stuck in the brambles.
Oh, yeah, just kind of gets attacked by the weeds.
Like, her hair gets stuck in them because she's like, what else could go on?
That just felt
really cute.
That sort of seemed like a continuation of the whole thing with the buddy, where you're just like, is she hallucinating that nature is just attacking her now?
I thought it was really, really great physical comedy there from Renee.
Meanwhile, speaking of great physical comedy, Argo kind of kicks Xena, and she flies out of the tent and now is surrounded by Scythian goons. Dun dun dun.
What's she gonna do?
She fights them. She knocks their heads together, Stooges style, and says, I'm not giving up on you, girl.
Head goon spots that Xena's here fighting his goons, and he's like, oh, that means the village is unprotected.
This was pretty clever of Head Goon. Again, it seems like he would have killed everybody in this episode because everyone else is a moron.
And he instructs Brother Goon to gather the army and attack. So Brother Goon goes off. What's going on with the army? We find out.
Oh, no.
They have eaten the stew.
Oh, no.
Oh, they've eaten, like, second helpings of it, even.
It's shit town.
It's shit town. It is real bad. Yeah. Joxer did his work.
So meanwhile, we have the big showdown between Xena and Argo with Head Goon atop her. Sounds wrong.
It is wrong. He's given her that unicorn horn.
Yeah, she got the horn. And Xena does this really heroic thing, which is she just jabs her sword into the earth and says...
It was a cool shot.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a very, like, glorious, like, whoa... hero moment in this ridiculous episode, and she still has the hair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you see the hair?
The hair is at about its head. Still,
I don't know. I think
more.
my notes say Xena's hair, Hope's hair, full 30 crazy.
Oh no, full 30. Well, her heroism is also at a full 30. Because yeah, she just gives up her sword and stands there with her arms spread and is just like, "All right, girl, you want me? You got me."
Nice.
And
yeah.
Argo charges. And you're like, oh no, I wonder if Argo's gonna kill Xena. I'm so nervous.
I'm worried.
But Argo can't do it. She stops unexpectedly and Head Goon just goes flying off her back.
Cool.
Knocked out on the ground.
Then Brother Goon comes charging in on a different horse, and Gabrielle takes care of him.
Which was nice. I'm glad Gabs got to do some fighting this ep.
Oh my god. So then Head Goon regains consciousness, gets on that horse that's free, and now basically we have another like charging scene between him and Xena on Argo.
This was so berserker. I feel like they probably have some horse stunt people on staff right now
who love to do jousts.
And they just were like, yeah, can we have like somebody leap from one horse to the other horse, please? That's such a cool move. Okay, we'll do it again.
Yeah, so this was like a more elaborate like charging while fighting on horseback scene between these two. Pretty impressive.
It was impressive, yeah. Eventually, Xena gets him.
Good.
Surprise.
I was worried.
There's this shot where Head Goon is lying in the grass, and you have that same upside-down point of view shot that we had with Brother Goon and Gabs. But here it's just Argo and Xena kind of like staring him down, and he's like, oh, and kind of goes limp.
Oh my god, at least Argo didn't slobber all over
I was
him.
a little worried they were going to go there.
And then we have our nice Xena-Argo reunion by this apple tree.
Xena says, I've missed you so much. I promise I'll never leave you alone for that long again. Nice, nice.
She definitely breaks that promise.
She did not apologize, just pointing that out.
They have their own rift. They need to go to Illusia.
So then she's like, how did Acestus win you over? What did it? And she sees that Argo isn't paying any attention to this moving scene. Argo is trying to get an apple from the tree behind her.
Gabrielle was right.
Gabrielle was right.
So easy.
That is what horses do. They go for the apples, which means, yeah, the Head Goon didn't abuse Argo. He just fed her his apple that he was peeling in that previous scene.
The villagers are very happy, and they are ready to pay their hero, Joxer,
He's taking all the credit. Mm-hmm. What a man.
500 dinars. That's like
half the price
boots?
Of his boots, I think. No, I thought his boots were 1,000.
No.
They were...
That's 1,000 like in our dollars.
In our dollars. Well, this seems like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, he says for that amount of money you could buy a whole other village.
Yeah. But with scrutinizing looks from Xena and Gabrielle, he's forced to give the money back. He's like, you can buy a whole new village with this money, and maybe you can name it Jacksonia or Jaxopolis.
I prefer Jaxopolis. This was, it made me think of Jamestown, the Firefly episode.
Xena did it first then.
Yep, hashtag Xena did it first. Take that, Joss.
We know he watches Xena.
This is certainly not the first time that has ever happened in the history of a weird town thing. Gabrielle's still covered in rot, though. Like, it hasn't gone away.
It just, you can tell it's healing because it's sort of shiny and red as opposed to like green and
weeping.
The green.
Green and weeping?
Yeah.
Well, I love that she's like asleep on the pole.
Yeah. Oh, this is so cute. Yeah, she's had a long day. She's ready for bed.
Well, we had to get rid of Joxer before we get to our nice closing scene between Xena and Gabrielle, because Joxer now, who seemed like he came unscathed.
Yeah. He took out the whole army. He is the hero of this episode. Yeah.
So take it back then. He deserves all that money.
Yeah, I guess he deserves all that money. He rocks. Or so we think. He adds a new verse to the song about how he's immune to diseases.
Yeah.
Never catches a cold. You're like, wow, okay, he's like the main character in Unbreakable. He's like totally a superhero. And then it's like, no, his stomach rumbles and
he's got the poops.
He's got the poops.
He has to vacate the scene. So now we've got Xena and Gabrielle, and it's very sweet. Xena is definitely telling some nice things to Gabrielle here.
Yeah, she says, I'm always there for you, and you're always there for me, even through sickness and hell. I mean, we haven't talked about it, but that's fun that we have this pun about the marriage vows and applying it to Xena and Gabrielle. Mm-hmm. That is literally... Text. Not a subtext, a text.
Canon
it is
title.
Written there in the words. So then Xena's sort of like, she's talking about how they're friends, and then realizes that Gabrielle is asleep.
Yeah. Didn't hear it.
Oh, that's sad. But she's heard so many other speeches, that are so much better and more poetic than this one. So
she's fine on speeches.
So then Xena picks out one of her Laos friends and says, I got all the friends I need.
Oy.
Great.
Do you think she's going to give the lice to Argo now?
Oh, for sure.
Great.
Why?
Why? Because they do that.
Argo knew what she was signing up for, okay, when she came back.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Well, thankfully this episode is over.
Well, they are so talented and hysterical, and I don't like this episode only because it's too gross for me.
Yeah.
I saw some nice points made about this episode on Whoosh. One of the commentators pointed out that a problem that previous comedy episodes had is that they would sideline Gabrielle and make her into the ridiculous comic relief, like lower her IQ by 500 points just to make the plot go.
So here they lower Xena's IQ.
Here they lower Xena's, which is different. And I think you do feel like they've moved on from that early season paradigm about how the comedies go. And yeah, even Joxer's role here, where he would usually be the grossest, most ridiculous. He's actually not quite the straight man, but definitely not the silliest.
I think I would enjoy this episode a lot more if it just picked maybe two things for them to deal with.
So which was the thing too many for you?
Probably the rot. I think that's really gross. Like I'm already used to Xena's hair goes crazy so much that I'm like, all right, I'll take it. I think bathroom humor for female characters is hilarious, so I would have been okay with that.
Numb tongue can stay.
Numb tongue can
Numb
stay.
tongue.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, like, the rot is just
It's
literally
She seems
too
very
gross.
unwell. Like,
yeah.
that she would be like...
she really just, yeah, and I don't know about that.
I mean, honestly, she should have had like 15 different staph infections.
Yeah, just really disgusting.
Like so bad.
She'd be dead.
Yeah, she would definitely be dead.
Oh, disgusting.
So I would have got rid of that, yeah.
Vera, did you count up the skin pickings for us?
See.
100.
Well, it's kind of what we said. Every time we had a scene with Gabrielle, it happened.
Let's just leave it at too many.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
All right. Some things we were not meant to know.
So that wraps it up, thankfully. And you can follow us on all the stuff.
Yeah, XenaWarriorPodcast.com, our official site. You can find all the links to all the things over there. If you are enjoying everything that you're hearing and would like to hear and see more stuff and support the podcast, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/XenaWarriorPodcast. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and if you are feeling so inclined, please rate and leave us a review. We always love to hear what you guys are thinking. Follow us on Twitter at XenaWarriorPod, and you can find us on Facebook and Tumblr at XenaWarriorPodcast.
The power.
The passion.
The podcast!